The first one has to do with a public hearing on the policy for procurement of goods and services. We have a town law that does cover the way that we do buy certain things, and we were considering, actually by practice we have made changes in that, and we have been following those changes, but we never converted that over to town law nor to town policy. We've been doing it for the last 4 years. I did find a note when I did read over the town's purchasing policy. There is a comment. It would be section 28-2 sub-item E. In addition to New York General Municipal Law and this chapter, the department head or designated shall follow the procedures set forth in the Town of Wheatfield Procurement Policy as adopted by the town board and amended from time to time. And I guess I have to ask the town attorney, does that give us the ability to make policy decisions and change purchasing policy from time to time as the board may see fit without changing the law?
Yes.
Because with that in mind, we really don't need to change our town law. We just need to adopt our policy, which could be done at the next board meeting.
We need to update it, that's correct.
So I don't know if anybody else has anything they'd like to say having to do with town purchasing. Basically, the practice we use is anything up to $500, the department head can make the decision basically on their own to just go ahead and order. We still review the bills. We review every single bill, but it's after the fact. From $500 to $1,000, the department head needs my permission to be able to place a purchase order for an item. From $1,000 up to the statutory limit, as it sets right now, we need not only my permission, but we also need that of one or the other liaison to that department. So if it's, for example, a highway purchase, Randy would have to approve it as well as myself. And any of us can stop and ask for additional information. Any of us can ask them where they had their bids from. Many of us could say, ask if it is a state contract bid, for example. And if we don't get permission, the department head still can come to the full board, put it in as a motion, ask for a full motion, and maybe still get the board to pass even if I don't agree, or even if the liaison doesn't agree. So we have a pretty good series of checks and balances. The county water board has a policy where after a certain limit, they have to put it into writing. They have to keep it in writing as far, they, meaning the department head that's making the purchase, would have to keep his bids in writing, put it on a piece of paper, and send it along with the bill when the bill comes in, so that we have a record in writing on file of where their 3 bids were, or if it was a state contract bid. And that's something we are going to be taking a look at adding to this law, or at least to our policies regarding the law. It doesn't have to be a law change. It could just be a town board policy. That's about all I have. I think that we can write this up, make it a little more formal by our next meeting, and we'll be able to put it out there. And basically we're just accepting the practices we've already been using. So it shouldn't be much of a shock. If there is anybody else on the board that wishes to speak on this matter, this is a good time. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say?
Yes.
Larry?
Most of this 3 pages you gave us mentions 3 written quotes, or 3, I don't know if it's any verbal quotes, sometimes they're sealed, but anything under $5,000, are the departments still getting 3 quotes? Because when they ask me for permission,
our policy says you're supposed to have 3 quotes for everything. Do they do it in every single instance? Probably not. When you're dealing with a company such as the business products, I don't think they call every single time, but we do a spot test each year to make sure that they are either state contract or that they are as good as anybody else to buy from. You can find higher prices simply by going on the internet. You don't have to try very hard to find higher prices. But you want to give the taxpayers the best bang for the buck. What you're looking at is a document from the sewer department. That's
right.
Not ours. That's the county sewer district. That's not our policy. It is a good practice.
I think the last time before we had this document, we were looking at something else, and I would just like them to have 3 documented quotes. If they write it on a notepad in their office or whatever, so if they're buying something for $900 or $1,200, you know, at least I know who else they went to or talked to.
Okay, well, you of course always have the opportunity of asking that if you're asked as a liaison, but you're right, we do not require it. It does not come along with the item when it happens. It's a good practice. Anybody else? Anybody else have anything?
No, I had about the same comments Larry just made, just looking for consistency in each one of those items, and it's not. Some is accepting a written fax quotation. Some are taking verbal, oral quotations.
Right. Yeah, there probably should be cutoffs where it has to go to something
Yes.
in writing.
Yes, I'd like to, at least even if it's a follow-up, kind of what Larry's alluding to, just a follow-up quotation. Just give me a little hard copy or keep it on record somewhere. Here's what contractor A, B, or C said. I'm not trying to make this boondoggle or red tape. I just like to know that we did in fact have 3 quotes when we tell the public we went and got other prices.
Anybody else? I'll open it up to the floor if there's anybody who wishes to speak on the concept of our procurement policy or our procurement law. If there's anybody who wishes to say anything. If there's nobody that wishes to say anything further, then I will hereby close this public hearing on the matter of procurement policy. And we will be discussing this over the next 1 or 2 meetings and come to a conclusion and put our plan, the plan we've been following, we'll put it into writing. So this, the first hearing is closed, and we'll wait